The process of creating art out of found objects, upcycling, repurposing, I've always done that. It's bred out of necessity, really. It goes back to this compulsion to create. I didn't go to school for art. I dropped out of high school when I was in my sophomore year. I took a GED. I never went to college. But I always felt compelled to create. And I also was raised here in Brooklyn in a financially disadvantaged family, so we never had money. So I found things to make, literally in my environment. I'm talking about from the time I was like 5 or 6. So this idea of seeing something and being like, I can make something with that, it's out of necessity. Necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So I've always looked to existing things in my environment and tried to figure out how I can flip them to express what I have this compulsion to express, whatever it is. I'm Patrick Dorr. I'm an artist and musician, a poet, a writer, a creative. I've been doing art in one form or another all my life, but I never would claim the title artist. If someone asked me if I was an artist, I'd say, no, I do art. I'm not an artist. I never wanted to commit to that because I didn't really understand what it was. I also felt that an artist was for a different type of person than I am. It's in the last couple of years I feel like I'm starting to really own what it is to be an artist and feel comfortable with referring to myself as an artist. Being sober allows me to wake up and not come to. Being sober allows me to have a discipline and a direction that I didn't have when I was drinking and drugging. I've been sober 16 years by the grace of God. This disease of alcoholism and drug abuse went through my family like a plague. Literally took my uncles, my father, my older brother just died a month ago from alcoholism. So I count every day as a blessing. And I drank and drugged from the time I was 14 to 38. And I had to hit a real bottom before I turned my life around by the grace of God. But not everybody gets that chance. The recovery that I've had from drinking, from alcoholism and drug abuse has been a spiritual process and a spiritual awakening. It changed my perspective. I still have a personality that is compulsive and obsessive, but now it's about art, right, and music. My perspective has changed, and I've been given a second chance in life, and so every moment is precious. There's this idea that when I see something discarded, my first impulse is to want to pick it up, just to clean it up. Then the second is, well, what can I do with that? There's something that can be made from this. We live in an incredibly wasteful society. So I think a lot of the stuff that I do, it doesn't start from a lofty concept. It's very much in the moment. It's like when I see rusty metal, when I see a discarded can, I'm not necessarily thinking ahead of time what I'm going to do with that. It's happening in the moment. This triptych is about the divinity of Black women in particular. These are also about the goddess and fertility and creation. The models are all from Africa, so I was really conscious about making sure everything represented had something to do with creation and fertility and the goddess. So there's a lot of symbolism. All three, if you notice, have a cowrie shell over their third eye. Their gowns are from different sacred texts, the Quran, the Bible, Old Testament, and Buddhist Dharma. This is an ancient Celtic symbol for fertility. This is the alchemist symbol for creation. She's holding the Akan fertility symbol and the Ankh, which is a symbol of life. I am half African American and half Irish American, and born here in, like I said, in Brooklyn. When I was a little kid, we had one art book. It was called The History of Art. And I remember as a little kid pouring through that book, and the only part that really attracted me was the primitive art, the African art. I always felt drawn to it. And so as I got older, I just explored that more and felt that connection even deeper. When I do create sculptures out of found metal, that started with me wanting to have African masks and sculptures of my own, but not being able to afford them. You know, I'd walk and see a piece of rusted metal and think, I can make that into something that somewhat mirrors African art. I have, for the last 20 years, worked with young people and encouraged them to pursue their dreams. You know, this idea that you can be an artist. You know, you can be a young person of color from a financially disadvantaged background. You are worthy of being an artist. And I've tried to empower and support kids for that long, and I wasn't even taking my own advice. Started to feel a little bit like a hypocrite. So this leap that I've made in the last couple of months is really me kind of like listening to my own speeches of being worthy to be an artist. And God and the universe have been so affirming in these last few months. Things are really starting to happen.